Hey, Carol and Tess, how are you both doing today?
Doing
Good,
well.
really
All
good.
right,
How are you?
doing great as always. So we're here to talk about short-term rental in this wonderful series, and today we're going to talk about how is short-term rental technology different than that of traditional hotel. All right, so the first question here is how does the technology differ from what a traditional hotel or resort would have? So, Carol, let's take that question to you.
Sure. So, vacation rentals have very different needs than hotel rooms. And probably one of the biggest differences is that they tend to sell at the unit type versus the category type. And so that really changes everything. As you can imagine, hotel systems traditionally, you'd have, like a deluxe king, for example, and you might have 15 room types that are a deluxe king. In the vacation rental side, you would have, this is James Suite room 102, right? And you sell it as that because you're putting pictures out there and imagery content that is related to that specific unit. And so it's been a challenge as hotels have started really getting into the VR space and VRs are getting into the hotel space to figure out what technology can support that. It also impacts everything from your property management system to your central reservation system to your channel management to your revenue management system, and even to back end accounting. So it's a pretty significant difference. And there are really only a few technologies out there that address both the vacation rental space and the hotel space at the same time.
Got it. So then, why does technology add another layer to this already complex, let's call it accommodation type of short-term rental? So, Tess, what are your thoughts about that?
I think that some of what Caryl was describing as well, we're still talking about a PMS, we're still talking about a CRS, but when you start breaking down, those 15 units into 15 individual units, if you're trying to scale technology, you're also talking about 15 times the message volume if you're really looking at reservations and distribution in that way. And so you need really modern technology that's able to scale in a way that can translate back and forth between the two different accommodation types, as you call them, James, because Carol's right, as people are moving back and forth between hotel and vacation rental, you also want to have a seamless tech stack as well, and someone that can handle kind of both sides of the business.
Well, and to add to that, and I know at Revenue Analytics, you've done a lot of work around this, but that variable inventory, in hotels, we sometimes will take rooms out of order or floor out of order to renovate or whatever, but we don't like say tomorrow we have 120 rooms, the next day we have 125, and then in another 2 weeks we have 50, right? We don't fluctuate it like that. And that's vacation rental. And, that's really hard in an algorithm to reflect, right, Tess?
Yeah, we found that really when you think about that fluctuating capacity, you have to, translate that into a good forecast. A good forecast is going to be the start of everything that you do, from pricing to inventory to overbooking. And if you can't get a good forecast, none of the rest of your results are going to be good. And a forecast that looks at, I had 10 rooms last year and I have 200 this year, you're going to forecast 10. And so we've really tried to take a unique approach to solving for what we call that variable capacity or fluctuating capacity and how we build our forecast and entry pricing.
Well, that's one great area, which is our forecast, and definitely we've done things in that area. But what are other specific differentiators that this segment needs when it comes to technology? I mean, we talked about PMS, we talked about CRS, but what other distributors do we need? What else do we need to look at?
I mean, that's really hard, James. I mean, when you, as Tess said, when you're looking at all those messages and now you're breaking it down to a single unit and having to send that to Airbnb and Vrbo, but then somehow you have to send a category to Expedia and to Booking.com. And sometimes your channel managers can't handle that, and your PMS has a hard time handling that as well. And so, there are companies out there that are solving for this. There are some systems, RMS Cloud, Solunas is one of the systems that can sell at the category level and at the individual unit level. From a channel management standpoint, being able to have someone who can distribute the content. I mean, think about, you have 75 units, you have 75 different content magazines descriptions of those units. You have 75 different sets of photography, 75 different room codes or category. It's that's a lot. And we've never been like really super great in the hotel industry at our content management and making sure that it's consistent across all these channels at the category level, let alone the unit level. And so it really has made, in my opinion, distribution so much more complicated.
It requires a lot of flexibility, like to be able to your point, being able to distribute like an individual unit versus an also at a category level, depending on the channel. You have to find somebody who can do that sort of best of both worlds approach and really find a solution that's tailored then to the space and to where things are moving. It takes modern technology that has maybe been a little lacking to date.
Exactly.
Well, Caryl and Tess, thank you so much for your conversation today. And as we continue this series, we look forward to hear more from you about short-term rentals.
Awesome.
Thanks,
James.